That's not recording.
Just spit it out, will you?
All right. Welcome back to Bolus Maximus. My name is Matthew Taro. I'm here with my co-host and co-founder, Brandon A. Denson. What's up, Brandon? How you doing today, my friend?
Hey, what's going on? I'm
You
good.
feeling good after our 11-mile rollerblade this morning?
Yeah, it was pretty intense, but it was good. It was good.
Yeah, so we feel good. We wanted to come on today and talk a little bit directly to the audience of T1 International, individuals who are seeking out how to figure out the medical insurance game here in the United States. It's definitely a little tricky. And so Brandon and I have had some recent history with different types of insurances. And so we're going to talk pretty briefly. We're going to try to keep it real brief.
Very, very brief.
Today, directly to you. So we are very appreciative of what T1 International does. It is a nonprofit led by people with type 1 diabetes for people with type 1 diabetes. And they believe in a world where everyone with type 1 diabetes has everything that they need. And the most important thing that we need is
insulin.
So if you don't have health insurance, then you would have to pay out of pocket to get insulin. And it is painfully expensive here in the United States. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what your options are to move forward and get insulin and how does it do that. So a couple of facts directly from the T1 International website. If you've never been to t1international.com, 50% of people around the world need insulin. In need of insulin cannot reliably access it because it's unavailable, unaffordable, or both. And that's from 2015. And I'm afraid that number has only gone up since then, unfortunately. And the average annual per patient cost of insulin in the United States has increased from $231 to $736 in the last 10 years. And that is based on a 2016 study. So if you think about how much money that is out of pocket every year, it's far too much. So there's a couple different ways you can have insurance, and we're going to talk about those today. We don't know why we did that. We're trying to keep it light. We don't want this to be so serious where you don't feel like, or you feel like this is kind of like a school presentation. We're not the best students. Brandon was a student athlete. And if you did go to college or if you've ever been in school, you might have had insurance through your university. That's a real thing. That's something that you can do. So if you're in school right now and you didn't know that you can get insurance through your university, that is definitely a way that you can get insurance. So that's one way. If you come out of school and you get employed by an employer, you will very likely have health benefits. But if we, Brandon and myself, get hired by two different companies, we could have two very different health plans. And especially with what's going on, what are you doing right now? You just got hired somewhere. We don't have to say where.
That is correct. And unfortunately, I'm under the probation period. So with being under the probation period, I don't have insurance. So, but I will have insurance soon.
Soon. But not now. Which means that if you're a new employee or a temp employee, a lot of times the company isn't going to start paying for your insurance until they're absolutely sure that you're a good worker. To Brandon's employer, he is a good worker. I attest to that.
Oh,
that is all.
Well, thank you.
I rest my case. So that's definitely one way. So you can get it through your employer, and then the employer pays premiums. And so what ends up happening is your employer is taking risk. If you pay the premiums there and the price is higher, then someone else then you're assuming risk, right? I think that's how it works. We're going to have to post some links here in the bio so that you can get some better understandings of exactly how the details of the healthcare system work. But for commercial insurance, the company pays the major corporation and they issue insurance to that company.
And we just have to state, we are not licensed medical professionals and we do not work for the government or any state entities.
Or healthcare insurances.
Just two guys with opinions about insurance and how it affects millions of people living with diabetes.
I do work in healthcare, but I work for a company that makes, manufactures, and distributes insulin pumps. So I literally talk insurance all day and every day. So we'll talk about one of the more common conversations that is happening right now is the state insurance that you can get called Medicaid. So if you live in a state and you are unsure, if you're unemployed, you are working for yourself and you're not paying any insurance, you can get Medicaid. Now, you're not paying the state for that. There is, at the beginning of every year, what's called open enrollment, or at the end of every year, rather, excuse me. It happens at the end of every year so that going into the next year, starting in January, you can be insured. So that's commercial insurance that you pay for. And it's typically through the state or government, known as the Affordable Care Act. And that is a great way for people to get insurance, but it's expensive. So if you're working for yourself and you don't have a way to get insurance, you would get what's called Medicaid. And you have to meet a minimum, there's a minimum requirement that you can make to meet and make yourself a member of Medicaid insurance. What was that process like?
Painful,
I didn't mean to say that you're currently on it, but we're both currently on it. What was that process like for you?
Super long, tiring. At this point, still going through it to make sure I have everything I need. I got denied things right out the gate. Insulin, CGM sensors. I think anybody would attest to it's frustrating because if I need these things and I can't get them, like it's like I'm going back and forth. I'm going, constantly back and forth between myself, the doctors to the insurance to the pharmacy.
But it's worth it.
It's definitely worth it.
You have to do it. If you have the option to do it and you can do it, you should do it. So I definitely want to throw that out there, that it is a little challenging in some of the states, depending on where you live, depending on the process that state has.
It's just when I think about it too, it being challenging to navigate for myself is just understanding like how challenging it'd be for somebody that doesn't understand it, or for somebody that may come from, might not have the literacy to understand it, may not have the time to actually get through it because maybe they have children or maybe they have multiple jobs, and they can't necessarily get in contact with people at certain hours, so there's a lot of different things that go into it. It's not just I call everything set up. Sometimes it happens like that, but 9 times out of 10, you kind of gotta have to attack it multiple different times.
And so that's something that you want to be very conscious of if you are moving to a new state and you're unemployed, or because of whatever is happening in the world, like during the year 2020, when COVID put a lot of people out of work, things were shut down, people were not able to make advancements in payments or in anything. And so what ends up happening is the overall cost for you out of pocket is going to be lower. It'll be high for the state, but that's fine. They can pay that. That's not the problem. So what we're looking at here is, so far there is commercial insurance through a job, and there is a Affordable Care Act, which is going to be commercial insurance that you pay for out of pocket. A lot of people who are self-employed do that. If you're working for yourself and you're not making a lot of money, like you're a freelance artist, you might get Medicaid. Medicaid is the state insurance. There is another type of insurance called Medicare. Now, if you're watching this and you're on Medicare, hello. That means that you are over 65 or you are suffering from one of many ailments that would put you in a category to get Medicare before you turn 65. And so once you turn 65 in the United States, you are eligible for Medicare. You apply, you basically sign up and they send you a card. And at that point, it's still very similar to commercial insurance where there's a percentage that they're going to cover, but that you're usually pretty well covered. And then off of Medicare, there's supplemental plans. So you can you can put more peanut butter and jelly on that sandwich if you want and make it a little bit juicier for yourself. Kind of hungry. Now I'm thinking about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And so what happens is if you have Medicare and you add a supplemental plan, now, excuse me. It's my dogs. There's my dog. If you have a supplemental plan and you're on Medicare, what ends up happening is you now have secondary insurance. You can carry two forms of insurance, but that may also prohibit or hinder what's going to happen. So if you're in a position where your insurance plan is primary and it's commercial insurance, and then you have a secondary plan that is Medicare or Medicaid, it's usually Medicaid. If the commercial insurance doesn't cover it, then Medicaid might. And so most people have one form of insurance. If you're under 25 and you're still on your parents' insurance and you have two individual parents who have two individual jobs and have two different insurance companies that cover them, you're going to have two forms of insurance. I've also seen people who have three forms of insurance. If you're a veteran and you have Medicare and you have a supplemental plan. So there's a lot of different options there. We would encourage anybody that's out there that's listening to look at your options, to ask about it, to talk about it. Please, please, please. It should not be so taboo to find out what other insurance people have, especially if you live with diabetes, type 1 or type 2. We understand there's a lot of type 1s watching us today. Hello?
Hello.
We just want to say, please do your diligence and look up what your options are. You can always reach out to Bolus Maximus. We'd be more than happy to help you. Like I said, my name is Matt, and I deal with insurance every day. I try to help patients who are here in the United States looking to get an insulin pump. Those are usually 4-year warranties, which means if insurance pays for it today in 2020, they won't pay for a new one until this time in 2024. And it doesn't matter a lot of times what the stipulate or what's going on there. It's usually one every 4 years. I have one type of pump. Mr. Denson has another type of pump. And so my dog's about to knock all this camera gear off of the table. So we're going to drop a couple links here in the bio for this video. We appreciate you watching. Please ask us any questions if you might have them. This is a really dirty and rough way of getting all of these out. But again, we're going to list these in the bio and kind of give you a little bit more to dig into. So please look at your state's Medicaid. Look at Medicare if you're approaching 65 years of age. If you're currently working, please. You are incredibly blessed to have insurance. Do everything you can to keep that job, and don't leave it unless you have another one lined up, especially if you live with diabetes.
And also remember, you have to be your own best advocate through all of this. Don't expect that somebody else will do it for you. You have to seek and get the help as needed. It's there. Like Matt said, we're here. We can help out as best as we can. Feel free to shoot us an email. Want to drop that?
Call us. It's thebolusmaximus at gmail.com. Bolus, BOLUS, MAXIMUS at gmail.com. thebolusmaximus at gmail.com. You can also reach us on our website, www.bolus, BOLUS, the letter M as in Maximus.org, O-R-G. That is our website. We are on YouTube, which is probably what you're watching this on. We're also on Instagram and Facebook under Bolus Maximus. Please feel free to reach out. We'd be more than happy to help or connect you with somebody that can. Huge shout out to the team at T1 International and the local chapters. They're in all 50 states, almost in all 50 states. Please reach out to your chapter. Find out how you can get involved to advocate for individuals that cannot do it for themselves, that don't know how to. We're looking to get insulin and help T1 International get insulin into the hands of everybody that needs it, as well as the supplies that they need. So please take a look around, think about what it is that's needed in your state, and then go out of your way to help somebody today. So from Brandon and myself, thank you for watching.
And always keep it 100.
5.5. See you later.